Hi. As I've said before, I'm Jasmine. I'm 15 and I'm in a pickle. You see, I'm really confused. Not long ago, I felt like career-wise, I had all this time. And now suddenly, people are telling me that I have to choose what I have to study. They're asking me where I want to study. What is it that I'm going to do with my life? And I'm in the middle of all this mayhem, completely lost. While growing up, everybody would always tell me that as long as I followed my passions, success would follow. And now, things have changed. I'm getting told more and more that instead of following these passions, I should stop and choose something that I'm good at. Choose something that is worth going to university for. This can't just be some job. No, this has to be something worthwhile, you know? Nobody wants to go to university and then end up being a garbage man, right? How are we meant to make any decisions when we're being given two pieces of contradicting advice? Where's the line between following our passions and just being irresponsible? Today, I'd like to speak about the 3 P's that can help draw that line: perspective, purpose, and passion. A while back, I went through a phase where I was constantly stressing out about what I was going to do. This decision just seemed so daunting to me. I would wind myself up to the point where I'd just be sitting there shaking uncontrollably. So when I told my dad about how scared I was, what he says is that I should stop worrying and that half the jobs that exist today didn't exist in his time. But who listens to dads, right? So I went ahead and did my own research. And the internet, the source of all truth, showed me that 65% of students wind up doing things that didn't exist in their time. 65%. Does this mean that I don't have to choose from what my dad does, or what my neighbor does, or what my teacher does? No. I get to choose something that I want to do. By focusing on what we can become in the world as it is today, we're limiting ourselves. We're all headed to the future. But out of this, a new problem arises. How on earth are we meant to prepare ourselves for these jobs that don't exist yet? Heck, that leaves me feeling even more bewildered than I was in the first place. I read a quote recently by Alan Kay. He says that the best way and the only way to predict the future is to invent it. And that's exactly what we're going to do. It's our talents, our ideas, and our passions that are going to be building this future of ours. All we have to do is figure out what they are and how to make them work. You and I, we're all different, right? We all have a different and unique outlook on life. Different and unique opinions which produce different and unique things that we can offer the world. In the words of Dr. Seuss, today, you are you. That is truer than true. There is no one alive who is youer than you. I saw this TED Talk recently by Eunice He, and she put it rather nicely. She says that the only way to become successful is to figure out how this originality of yours, how this passion of yours, can benefit the needs of others. In order to succeed, we need to find that sweet spot where our originality and passion interacts and intersects with the needs of others. But suddenly, this needs of others has become a new factor. Suddenly, this can become my purpose. Who enjoys our passions? Who enjoys our talents and our achievements? The rest of the people we share this world with, right? So it's only natural that we find purpose in changing the world for the rest of them. The only way we can ever do great is to do for others. By helping others, we find our purpose. By figuring out how we change the world for the needs of others, we find our purpose. My generation, known as Generation Y, and born between the years of 1980 and 2000, so yeah, I'm looking at you lot, has a bit of a nasty reputation. See, critics have called us self-absorbed, entitled, and some have even gone as far as to say that we're the worst generation yet. I read this article by Cal Newport recently, and he says that the root of this problem is the fact that we hear the phrase, follow your passions, too often. That it leads us to believe that passion should be something that should be there from the very first second. And when it's not, we, being encouraged to settle on nothing short of passion, wind up becoming quitters. He says that instead of finding this mysterious job that we're passionate about, We should try to be passionate about the jobs we have. This graph was in that article. It shows how many times since 1980 the phrase "follow your passions" has been printed in English. Maybe he has a point. See, nobody really denies how inspirational this quote, "follow your passions," is, but very few question whether or not it's worth taking the risk. When I think of the phrase "follow your passions," I'm not going to lie, I immediately assume that passion and passion alone can be this ticket of mine to success. And to be quite honest, I don't even know what passion is. When I think of the word passion, this dramatic calling comes to mind, right? Hand gestures are involved, loud voices are employed, sparks fly everywhere. But is that really passion? A while back, I went through a phase where I thought basketball would be a good idea for me. I even got my dad to pay for my lessons, and for the first couple of months, I did it with a lot of enthusiasm. But after those couple of months passed, I realized that I hated basketball. I really, really didn't like it. My dad made me go through it for the rest of that year, and it's safe to say that at the end of that year, I knew for sure that basketball was not my thing. But at the beginning of it, I was enthusiastic, right? I liked it. That wasn't passion. That was excitement. And the problem is that we confuse excitement with passion. Passion is committed. Passion is completely and utterly devoted. Passion is focused and deliberate. Passion is even when you're getting knocked down and feeling like it's not gonna work. Passion is you wanting to continue, feeling hungry for more, feeling curious. This photo is of the NASA Mars rover team. They're celebrating. They spent 9 years trying to get a car-sized object on Mars. 9 years. Those 9 years, they must have been long and tiring. And at some point, they probably thought, what am I doing here? The effort that they put into those 9 years, that was passion. This one moment of celebration, this is excitement. This is just the tip of the iceberg. But now, I'm faced with a new problem. How am I meant to find this passion of mine? It's all good and well to say, follow your passions, be passionate. But what if you don't know what your passion is? Since I was a little girl, my dad has always encouraged me to try as many things as possible. I grew up playing the piano, I was painting, I did professional swimming, I was in chess club, I played t-ball, I did everything. And at the end, I didn't like all of them, even though initially I was probably very excited. But just recently, I figured out what it was. He wasn't doing this to punish me. No. He was giving me more options to choose from. He was encouraging me to step outside of my comfort zone. Now that I'm a little older, a little more stubborn, it's no longer his responsibility. It's my responsibility. We can all tend to be a little afraid of new things. It's scary. What if you fail, right? And without even noticing it, a lot of us tend to avoid them. But there are so many amazing things that our world has to offer. So many amazing things that you can do. Wouldn't it be sad if you were to miss out on even one of those things? We have to start approaching things with more of an open mind. Another rule we had, me and my sister when we were growing up, is that we were allowed to try anything that we wanted to, as long as we did it for a year. So while I was doing this basketball catastrophe, my sister, she was trying gymnastics. And simultaneously, we were both doing ballet. Now at first, I could not stand ballet. It was tiring, I couldn't walk sometimes after lessons, and it did not look as easy as those ballerinas made it look. But we both stuck to it for a year, and towards the end of it, my sister ended up quitting ballet. But she had realized that she loved gymnastics. It was all she could ever think about. It was all she could ever do. It was painful watching her try to do all these somersaults and whatnot in the living room. I would even say that my sister had found her passion. Even today, it's all she can ever think about. It's all she can ever talk about. It drives us crazy. And me, I fell in love with ballet. Even though my feet would be red and blistered, and it's a sore sport, I fell in love with him. If we'd been given the option to just give up immediately, these two loves probably would never have emerged. We need to start giving more things a chance for the right amount of time. See how far you get. I think personally, the three most important things that I've learnt so far is that, number one, my future is not around me, it's ahead of me. Number two, in order to do great, you have to do for others. And number three, passion is not the same thing as excitement. Every single one of us sitting here, we all have this opportunity to change the world. We all have this decision we have to make at some point. And heck, we're still young, right? We still have time. But this doesn't stop us from stressing. It still doesn't stop us from worrying whether what we're going to choose is going to be worthwhile, whether it's going to be everything you can possibly do. With these 3 points, I don't feel stressed anymore, to be honest, because I know that now that I have this newfound perspective on the world, I have a newfound purpose. And if my passion comes along, I'll know it. If they don't want a generation that's so horrible, we should be taught these things. We should be taught how to identify passion and how to use it. We should be taught to look further than ourselves, to look ahead. We should be taught to look further than ourselves for purpose. We should be taught how to succeed. To end this little talk of mine, I'd like to come back to Roald Dahl and share a favorite quote of mine. Congratulations. Today is your day. You're off to great places. You're off and away. Kid, you'll move mountains. So, be your name Boxbaum, or Bimby or Bray, or Mordecai Ali von Alan O'Shea. You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting. So, be on your way. Thank you.